Now that we've learned the fundamentals of how to use muscle testing and how to use a pendulum, let's talk about how we can use these skills to communicate with our animals. So first things first, any method that you feel more comfortable with, whether it be muscle testing or using the pendulum, is perfect for animal communication. It's important to note that having these skills doesn't mean that you're allowed to communicate with every animal. It's really important to get permission from the owners, but also from the animal themselves. When we're tuning into an animal, it's really important not to directly connect energetically with the animal. Instead, we want to use universal energy as the thread that connects the animal and you. That way, there is almost like a lucite shield between you two, a little lucite wall where you can talk to them and they can talk to you, but there's no place where the energy is going to intermingle that could create any upset or connections or courting or anything of that nature. The goal is to avoid any energetic attachments. Once you've connected to universal and source energy, then what you would do is ask to zoom in on a specific animal. They don't need to be right in front of you, and you can work off a photo or even a memory of them. This is especially handy if you're trying to communicate with an animal that has passed away. When you're tuning into an animal and needing to connect to source, I have a release phrase that is handy that you can use, or you can create one of your own. I request a divine connection with pure source consciousness and to receive all answers through this channel. I ask that all of my channels of intuition are open and that I am a clear conduit for pure organic white light energy to flow through me. I request this communication be for animal's name here, highest truth and good, and so it is. So that's the phrase that I use. Like I said, though, you can always craft your own that you feel more comfortable with. But the important thing to remember is that you're connecting to an outside source, whether it be source, whether it be God, whether it be universal energy, and then you're taking that energy that you've connected to and harnessing it to zoom in on a pet. Once you've said the given phrase or one of your choosing, take a moment to really take a breath and feel into that energy. Think about the animal that you want to connect with and ask your pendulum or muscle testing whether or not that animal is near you. You can ask, is animal's name spirit essence with me? When muscle testing, you'll get either a yes or a no response. If you get a yes response, the next thing to do is to confirm that you actually have permission to communicate with that animal. You would ask, do I have permission to communicate with you? Here, you'll get a yes or no response. If yes, you'll continue with a line of questioning, which we will cover in the next section. If you're getting a no response for either permission or availability, let's look at a few reasons why. What does your current state of mind feel like? If you find that you are in a more negative place right now, it's likely that the animal is going to want to keep a little bit of distance between you and them. That way they're protecting their energy, but they're also giving you space to figure out what is causing you to feel a little down. Even though cats and animals are really supportive energetically, sometimes they need their space too. If they feel that you are coming to them for all the wrong reasons, they will stay away. So really check in with what your state of mind is and also what your overall intention is for the communication session, because that might give you insight as to why they're not coming through. Another thing to look at is, do you feel like you're blocking the connection? I find this is really common in people who are learning the skill of muscle testing and pendulum use because they still don't 100% trust it, or they trust it, but they also don't believe that they can communicate with animals. So because they have that lack of belief in themselves, they're literally creating this self-fulfilling prophecy of them not being able to do it. The key, again, is truly believing yourself and setting the intention, hey, I'm going to communicate with animals, because once you set that intention, literally nothing can get in your way. Also, do you feel grounded right now? Because that's really important as well. If you don't feel grounded and maybe you feel a little bit lightheaded, a little bit dizzy, it's really important to go outside, plant your feet on the ground, and just really enjoy nature. Maybe use some Epsom salts to get yourself all grounded. I use that as well. Anything that you can do to really center yourself is important to go to, when you are not grounded, because that might be preventing the animal from coming forth as well. And the last thing is, honestly, the animal just may want to have rest and want to have privacy and just doesn't want to talk to you. And that's okay. They have every right to say, you know what, not right now, maybe later. Let's try this again some other time. That's totally okay too. In other cases of no response, what you can do is ask if you can ask questions on behalf of the animal rather than directly to the animal. Now, this may seem like a loophole, and honestly, it kind of is. The difference here is that you're getting the information from source, from universal energy, rather than the animal directly, but the information is still going to benefit the animal. So what this is creating is a place for you to serve the animal, but they don't have to have a front row seat to it. It's all happening behind the scenes. Because sometimes they simply don't want to be active participants and they can exert that free will. But if you still want to help them because something is going on, you can always ask if you have permission to ask questions on their behalf, and again, not directly to them. The biggest takeaway is that permission is key. Always get any kind of permission when working with animals, whether, again, it's from the owner or the animal directly. Honestly, I prefer both. You can ask any question you want to confirm that they are happy to work with you in any capacity. Doing so will provide much clearer responses as well. You certainly don't want to bank answers from a pet who's just being aloof. Now, to end the session, I have crafted a release phrase that thanks the animal for coming forth, as well as telling them that they're free to go. I have it on the screen here, and you can also change it and craft it however you feel is best. You can just use your intuition, really feel into it, what feels comfortable to you. But I'm going to recite the one that I have on the screen here. Thank you to Source and Animal's Name for this session. I offer you my gratitude and love for working with me today. You are free to go, Animal's Name, and this session is complete. And so it is. That was easy, right? By making a point to end the session, this means that the animal knows that they are done with their responsibility of that communication session with them, and allows them just a general understanding and a boundary that is being created that, hey, we're done here. I'm free to go do my business and do whatever. So that's really important to make sure that you're fully ending the session as well and that there's just nothing hanging. Okay, now it's time to talk about the ways to troubleshoot when you are working with an animal and doing a communication session with them. If you feel like you're having trouble connecting to the animal, or you're just not really feeling the responses, you just kind of feel like there's a disconnect, then here's a really easy way to reconnect with them. If you feel like you're having trouble connecting to the animal and you're using a picture of them, one of the best ways to really connect to their energy is to really look at their eyes and just hone in on their eyes and just think about what makes them so special. Once you do that, you'll instantly feel a different connection to them once you're asking questions and getting responses. It feels a little bit more intimate. That'll really help center you in this process as well. Again, I'm an after school special, but really being positive and believing yourself is so important in this. And just have patience and an open heart. There is no wrong way to communicate with an animal. You are doing everything perfectly. It just takes time and practice and patience.